Welcome back.
Hi! It's like we never left.
I know. We were so deep in the mom discussion because, it's like a little mom happy hour event time,
Oh,
and
yeah.
we just kind of get to relate to everybody. So we have a lot to say. So
We
we're going to
sure
go ahead
do.
and continue our discussion on mom life and running a business and all the wonderful things and feelings that come along with it. So let's get into it.
Okay, well,
Well,
we did ask you guys on Instagram about just kind of like for those who are moms in this world,
Mhm.
what are your biggest struggles of balancing? So you've probably already heard us say a lot of things that you identify with. So please let us know in the comments below things that you guys identify with. But the one of the biggest ones, and this is where I'll go into my tip with timers, is time and how to set boundaries. So like I just mentioned before, I think speaking, the way that you speak about what you're doing is really important. Um, so I would immediately start speaking of, this is mom or dad. This is work time and I have to work today and I have customers, because my kids always ask, who are the cookies for? And I'm like, it's for a customer. Well, because it's always like, can I eat these cookies or are they for, I'm like, no, it's a customer. Um, so I started this probably like it was maybe a year into my business before I had heard this. And I was listening to, I think, a podcast at the time, and it was a child psychologist, and they were talking specifically about mom guilt. And especially when you have needy kids like mine, who just want to play all the time, and even if you're not working, I mean, we need like our space and our alone time, and so they said, if you have 3 dedicated 20-minute chunks of devoted playtime or together time with your child in a day, they will feel fulfilled. And you don't, and if you can't get to that, you still shouldn't feel guilty. But for me, I am such like a structured person. I need, look at my hands. We were just talking about how we talk with our hands so much.
my hands are like this.
I know.
My knees are shaking though.
But I like a schedule, give me structure, give me boundaries. I can't read minds, tell me what it is. So that was like a light bulb went off in my head. And so I started like training them basically of, okay, mommy's going to put the timer on now. And when the timer goes off, I have to stop playing. And I would put my phone away. I would not look at it, no TV on. We would pick an activity and we would do that together. And when the timer goes off, mommy has to get some work done. So again, even if you don't have a business, if that's your time to get chores done or make dinner or whatever during the day, then that's your time. And it helps them too with, because their alone playtime is so important as well. So then I would set the timer, and sometimes I would cheat that timer and be like, maybe mommy gets 40 minutes of work time, in that time. But I would work off of timers, and that was such a game changer to me. And I've shared it on my social media before. We've shared it before in these episodes, and I know that people are utilizing it on Instagram. You guys let me know that you're utilizing it. But that was such a like game changer for me. So that's my biggest tip on like time and setting boundaries. What would do you have any tips or things to add?
I mean, that's a great one. I use timers in the opposite way of not so much with the kids, but just because having both jobs going, I was like, oh gosh, sometimes like the house stuff would get neglected, like things I kind of have to get done as just like a mom. And
Mm-hmm.
so I would set 15-minute timers in the sense of like it was twice a day I would do it. And it was how much cleaning or something can I get done in those 15 minutes. So it's like start a little laundry, clean a bathroom, like, and when you're set to a timer, you're like, you're not dilly daddling, scrolling on your phone. Like it's amazing how much you can truly get done in
Oh
15
yeah.
minutes. And so I would do it that way, just so like the house stuff, because I'm very
Mm-hmm.
much like if my area is cluttered, like it's really
Mm-hmm.
hard for me. I'm in holiday week right now, but my kids' closet by their room is like atrocious. And I literally just might need to like mentally stop, go tear apart the closet, reorganize it so like I could let it go.
Mm-hmm.
So that type of stuff, because then I felt distracted in both areas. without it. So, and my kids knew it was happening. So then it was something that they could join in also. I'm like, 15 minutes, let's go. So then they would like race around the house and it was cute because then they would bring me stuff. I'm like, go collect all the shoes. And they're like, okay. But it was like speed. So then they'd like get that burst of energy, but it's something like we could do together.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wasn't necessarily sitting and playing, but it was something like we can make it or speak in funny accents or things like that. So
I love that idea. Another idea when your kids are smaller, they're not in school, maybe it's summertime or something like that. Generally, we have other mom friends with kids around our age. You've met in a mom group or something like this. We did this, and this was actually before I had my business, but we did a playgroup rotation. And so what we would do, I think I had like 3 or 4 moms, and we would say, okay, 2 moms are going to stay. And then the other 2 moms get to go run errands or do whatever they need to do for the morning. And so we did it from like 9 to like 12. The moms packed the lunch and stuff. And so we would rotate around and we would rotate what moms had to stay there and things like that. But just being creative of like, oh, if it's coming up on a holiday week, like how do I rotate this? And when kids are together, like, it's easier. They play together. They're not bugging you. They're not arguing. And another thing I would say too, and we've loved this about our neighborhood, babysitters don't always have to be super expensive. Mommy's helpers are incredible. So generally they're like late elementary school or like middle school. It's before they're driving. It's before they have like real person jobs or things, or before they're like a nighttime sitter on their own. There are ones in our neighborhoods where it's like $6 an hour, and they will just like come over and play with the kids. So it's again, Mike and I have done that before. If we're like getting ready for a party or something like that, and we don't want them arguing with each other, but we need them like upstairs for a period of time. That's huge. So there are some other like, cost-effective ideas for childcare.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah. Mommy's helpers. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Crazy.
Those are great ones. Mom guilt's a big one. I think we've talked about it. Anything to add on top of what we've talked about?
Think so.
I think we all have it. Just stop it. It's like, I feel like it's really wonderful for our kids to see us working,
Yeah, it is. And I mean, the mom guilt, just to add, like the kids say the darndest things. It's funny because like my husband obviously at the time would leave and go to work, and they were used to me leaving. But then it obviously transitioned at home, and they would be like, when are you going to go to work? I'm like, I am work. What did you think I did all day long? And they're like, well, that work. But like, what about like your real work?
Yoga.
And I was like, Mom, does I have to go there anymore? And so one day I was like, fine, I'll go. But I have to take you guys to daycare again. Like, you guys got to wake up early. You have to do this. And then they start crying. They're like, oh, like, I don't want you to leave. And so it was just a funny thing then when my husband transitioned to working from home, then it was like his guilt. They were like, why are you here? When are you going to the office? And he was like, I said, welcome to when I had it. It was like that guilt of like, I'm trying to be home with you and you don't understand it. Like, so I think it was always that like, if you asked our kids now, which it could be a little challenge. It's funny because if I ask them like, do you feel like I'm always busy? Do you feel like, they're like, no, I like playing. Like, because when you do that, I get to do my thing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, okay. So sometimes just asking them, like, or like you said, creating those times where that guilt isn't there. Like ours is reading, as you know, I've said before, we're reading the Harry Potter series. One chapter in Harry Potter sometimes can be 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So things in that sense, it's just like, as long as that time with them is quality and you're investing in them, I don't think they are as traumatized as we think they are.
Yeah. Yeah. So. Or just communicate with them. Like that, I think has been one of the biggest things overall with our entire family, between me and Mike too, of like, this is a busy week.
Yep.
This is a busy week for me, but guys, on the other side of this, let's plan something fun for us to do together. I'll plan a date night for Mike and I, and we'll like plan a whole Saturday or something of go to the dog park and do a family movie. And I mean, we spend a lot of time together on the weekends in this family.
Yes, you
We do. And so I think that helps, you know, of just as long as you're communicating, like, this is what it is now, but then on the other side of it, we get to do this X, Y, and Z, you know?
Right. And days that I feel super guilty or like I know I'm really busy and I'm like, oh gosh, it's just my kids will come in the cookie room and,
Yeah.
like I said, read, or my brother will read to us and I'll put it on and they
Mhm.
just bring their blankets and stuff and lay on the floor. So
Yeah.
it's like we're still involved. Or if they need help with their homework or a game, like I can still work and do that.
Mhm.
So, or I'm like, hey, come in and tell me about your day. Like I can talk
Mhm.
in a flood. So it's still, again, those quality time moments with them,
Mhm.
or like flashcards. I can do like 4 flashcards while I'm waiting for the next thing to dry. So
Yeah.
I
And
just kind of incorporate them.
and there's a huge difference of like working and not acknowledging somebody versus like working and them knowing that you're present, you know?
Yes.
Like those are that small switch is
Mhm.
just, you know, a different factor.
Yeah. And sometimes I have to tell them, like, hey, I really have to work. So, like, I'm going
Mhm.
to put my headphones in and go ask your dad.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah. Um, okay, I'm looking through our other shutting your brain off.
if you figure out how to do that, please let me know. I don't think
Well,
it,
when did your meditation journey start?
I've always done that. So
Yeah.
that's always just part of
Yeah.
my jam. Like I like zenning out and quiet
Mhm.
time. But I mean, yeah, it stops when you're doing it, but still like I think a part of it, because my brain is always go, go, go,
Mhm.
is just finding ways that you feel like it's marked off. Like I said, right now, the
Mhm.
closet is bugging me because I just cannot get over it. Stop and do it. Like I have
Mhm.
found that if I just freaking do it, it's amazing how much time it like eliminates taking up
Yeah.
space in my brain. When it comes to work things, I'll be like, oh my gosh, like right now I need to send emails. I need to do this. So I just end up making a list of all the
Yeah.
things as they pop in. My house, I have notepads like everywhere around it. And I have like my main one in the kitchen because I walk by that spot all the time that I'll just write down like all the things that I need to do as they pop in my head. And when I set those 15-minute timers or I have some like a little bit of a break, I will bust out as many of them as I can. And I think that kind of helps then going to sleep at night or on the weekends that you're not like, and I have this, and I have this.
Mhm.
I feel like there's always time in business that you can create time to do something. If
Oh, yeah.
downtime you're like, "Oh, I'm going to get ahead on my sets." There's always something you can get ahead on,
Mhm.
but it's just kind of trying to take it to be like, if I don't complete this by Sunday, what is going to rock my world? So trying to like
Mhm.
narrow it down into like a week form, because if I did it into a month, like right now I'd be worried about back to school cookies.
Right.
So it's just one of those, I don't know. How do you do it?
That's the battle with owning your own business, right? It's like the more you work, the more that you can potentially earn and do, and especially in the social media world, like you can forever do it. And I've started trying doing this thing. Um, it depends on the morning, but I remember I think it was like a rapper or something like this that I saw was being interviewed, and he said he doesn't look at his phone until after he's had coffee, until after he's like done his morning routine and had
Yeah, a
some
lot of self-help
time
gurus preach that.
to what's that?
A lot of self-help gurus preach that. Like, do your
Yeah,
morning
and
first before you sit down on your
before,
phone.
because the moment that you open it, then it's just it piles into a ton of stuff. And I mean, I if you think about like when we worked before, like phones were so adaptive and you had email on your phone, you like had your drive in, you would listen to the radio, you would have your breakfast in the morning, and you're not on until you're in an office and on.
Mhm.
And now it's just it's constant, and that's how it is. Um, so I that's really nice. When I'm working out now, I turn my phone on silent and I put it somewhere that I cannot reach it so that I am not distracted by it or I'm not trying to do something. Lists are great for me too. I think lists, it allows your brain to not keep going, oh, remember that, remember that,
Mhm.
remember to do that, remember to do that, because it's done. And then for me, when if I'm working in the evening and I have a creative flow going, that was always the hardest. And I hear this all the time is like, how do you go to sleep after you've been doing this? Because your mind is just like thinking of like the next thing, or you're just in a like creative flow space. So for me, what I would start doing is I would make a list of things that like need the next steps that I wanted to happen the next day. I leave that. I would put on like my like any creams or any stuff like that and get ready and for the evening, and I would stretch. I would put on it, I would take like 5 minutes and I would either go into our closet or our bathroom. I would go into our bedroom. I would put some Zen music on and I would stretch and I would breathe. And I then would not look at my phone and I would crawl into bed and I would just like breathe it out. And sound machines are huge for us. We love sound
Mhm.
machines. But
Hey, Hatch,
that's
sponsor us.
been, yeah, man. So that has always worked really well for me for being able to just like breathe it out
It's
and
funny
be
because it's
able to
almost like, what do we do for babies when we want to sleep train them? It's like you create a night routine so then they know it's nighttime and they can
uh-huh.
mentally like eat. It's the same thing for us. Like,
Yeah.
yes, I listen to my meditation or my guided meditation and things like that to help like
Hmm.
zen to go to sleep. But it's just so much part of my routine that I'm like, I don't think of it as a detox.
Yeah.
But same thing in the morning. It's like when you wake a baby up, you're like, oh, what do they
Hmm.
do first? I'm going to change their, whatever it might be in your routine for
Yeah.
them to feel like they're waking. Same thing for us. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I love my morning routine. It's kind of sacred. So once
Yeah.
you get into those flows, um, I think a struggle also with it is that, in a sense, the shut off is funny because when you come from corporate, you're like, there's a dead hard set cutoff. Like Friday,
Hmm.
you're like,
Vacation
I'm
is actual vacation.
yeah, you're
Yeah.
like, I'm not thinking about this until Monday. Like, not at
Hmm.
all. And I think over the years, as my business has grown, I've kind of adopted that. Like, no, I need to shut it off because there has to be some type of separation, even though it's hard. But like, my gripe with corporate was that creativity strikes at different hours of the day.
Hmm.
Or I want to be able to, like, hey, go to my kid's event at school and then come back to work. Couldn't do that.
Yeah.
But then the flip side is owning your own businesses, it never stops.
Hmm.
So it's like half dozen of one or the other. Pick your poison.
Hmm.
So you're not alone. We all
Yeah.
struggle.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think those are the big ones. And then our other thing, and I think this is a great thing to leave it off on, is just kind of like tips on what's helped throughout this time of like figuring out. And I think we've shared a lot of it, but
Mhm.
some people wrote specific things in, and I think they're great ideas. Pre-making dough, just like things of getting ahead in the game. So I know you just recently kind of started doing the
Yes, they did.
pre-making dough.
Yes.
I turned you. I turned you.
It's different when you make the volume that I do because the
Yeah.
storage space. So I
Yeah.
understand, like, when you're like, I roll mine out, I'm like, girl, I cannot fit that in a freezer if I rolled
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
30 dozen
Yes.
cookies.
Yeah. But no, pre-making dough is I think that's a huge game changer because I mean I just constantly just have frozen dough. Um so I think anything you can do to batch.
Mhm.
I know people who make like big loads of icing at a time and freeze that too. And especially when you have little kids, like those are things you can do that it's just like when they're eating breakfast in their high chair, like here's another thing I would say. If you're a stay-at-home mom and a part-time baker or a full-time baker like Chelsea was, you don't really sit still during the day. I mean, you
No.
just don't. Like any time that you can be doing something, whether it is a time of playing with them or it's time, that's when you do stuff. And I like my mentality was always if I can do it with them, then I'm going to do it with them. That meant cleaning. I did not wait until they did naps to clean. I was cleaning in front of them. I was cleaning with them because I also wanted them to see that is happening and who is doing it and how to do it. Same thing with grocery shopping. Like I know so many people who would like drop the kids off at daycare or something, or not daycare, but like mommy's day out, and they would like go run errands. And I'm like, nah, man, like I'm going to do that when the kids are with me, because when they are in mommy's day out, that's when I can do the things that I like that don't come as easily
Mhm.
when they're with me. So that was always a big thing to me, is just like always keep moving. And so anything to get ahead. So yes, freezing the dough, freezing anything that you can up front. I think it's great. Saying no. Y'all, you have to know. You need to. I love how Chelsea, like, she writes how many dozen across the top of the week, and then she knocks them off as people book stuff. Something visual like that truly shows you. I always kept stuff on my calendar. I'm a very like, I need it in my phones, because when I was running around with the kids all day, like I didn't have pen and paper with me. I had my phone. And so I would keep things in my calendar. And so as soon as I saw like that week is like packed, then I'm like, no, I'm done. Like anything visual that you can say no. And I feel like saying no actually creates like want, it actually like makes people like, I don't know, makes it more exclusive when you're like, oh, I'm booked. I'm so sorry. I know. I always felt so cool being like, oh, I'm booked. And for me, booked was like 3 orders one week. But
It's okay.
It
Still
sounds
your
so
max.
cool. Yeah. So saying no. Have you ever had a problem with the saying no piece? Or were you
I
pretty
think in
good
the
about
very
it?
beginning, because there's always that fear of like, when is this going to end?
Mhm.
So it was like, I think sometimes when it was like you knew you had 2 slow weeks coming up, it was like, oh, okay, I'll just make one big busy week.
Yeah.
So I think it's just as you grow and knowing what's going to work for your business, like how you
Yeah.
can make it work for you. So,
Yeah.
but no, there's times I've had to say no. I said no to an order because 1, I was booked. 2, it was my son's birthday weekend. And so I had
Mhm.
to be, obviously, I'm throwing his birthday party, which
Yeah.
adds a whole different element. And the person was like, well, it's for my son's birthday. I'm like, I understand my son's birthday this weekend too. And they had asked me to stay up. Well, can't you just stay up later one night? It's only one night, so you can create the cookies for my son's birthday. And I was like, no, because and I literally was like, no, that's taking away from my child's birthday.
Mhm.
So I don't know. Part of me is like, it's okay to say no,
Yeah.
because it leaves room open for the yeses to come. So,
Absolutely. I'm the same way. Like if you say no to a theme that you like don't really want to do, or no because they're not willing to pay the price and they want you to come down, I'm like, that just leaves the door open for the better thing that's coming. And I
mhm.
feel like once you get used to saying no, it gets so much easier, and like you don't get so hurt about it, you don't get so scared about it. It becomes a lot easier.
Yeah.
I think same thing too with saying no to like social activities sometimes. If it's a busy week and it's just like, and people they start to understand. I think, but I mean, come holiday time, I have to say no to so many activities.
My family's so good at my friends, because I send out that text like, "Hey,
Yeah.
I'm entering into busy season. This is when it kind of slows down. This is from this period." Like I lay it just
Yeah.
all out, because I hate the guessing game
Yeah.
for people, that I'm like, I wish people would do that for me. So
Yeah.
I want to do it to somebody else. And I'm like, hey, this is my availability. This is when I am done. And they're already like, now they just pre-ask
Yeah.
ahead of time, like, hey, are you doing back to school cookies? Okay, what does that summer look like? And so
Yeah.
I'll lay it out, and they're like, done. Like they don't take offense to it.
Right.
So
Yeah, I mean, I love that you send that text message too. I feel like you and I have to communicate through the text messages too, of like, when's the busy week? When can we
oh yeah.
film? What's the
Yes.
schedule? Okay, another one, and we can end on this one, was just spousal help. That's huge. I know, Tom. I mean, I think we both are blessed with husbands who very much understand kind of like our businesses and have grown with it and
Mhm.
kind of know how best to help us. But if you're just starting out on this, I cannot recommend enough. Just, you have got to communicate. I think that was the part when we had arguments about the business, it was because I wouldn't communicate like this is a really busy week. And so, he's just like, what's going on? Why are you so tired? And it's like, well, I have a lot of work. He's like, well, I didn't know that this was going to be a busy week, So,
Mhm.
just, yeah, communicate and communicate. And know like where they want to be involved. Like Tommy helps you with packaging a ton.
Oh yeah, homeboy is like, let me fold the boxes. Now my son's into it. He's like, oh no, I'll
Yeah.
fold boxes. Dad, you do this. Yeah, no, he's amazing. He helps with that. He goes and picks up like ingredients. He is the shopper runner. He's like, I will totally hand out cookies. Like,
Yeah.
he's just game for whatever. So
Yeah.
he's amazing. He's taken over a lot of the cooking now. So
That's awesome.
yeah, I know. He's an amazing chef. As he's racing to get a snack again.
Nah. Yeah, I feel like you timed that when Tommy would be in the room.
I just heard him. I thought it was the kids waking up, and nope, it's him. They're still sleeping, by the way.
So not fair. Any final thoughts, Chels?
Nope. I don't think so. I think my dogs are barking.
Yeah.
Perfect time to end it.
Just know that you guys are not alone. We're all in it. And part of why we created this whole community is because we wanted you guys to be able to have a place to vent and ask questions. So never stray away from asking us questions, either comments here or on Instagram. We're here for you guys. So yeah, thanks for hanging out with us and chatting with us.
Of course.
And yeah, I guess we'll see you guys next time. You do the outro, right?
Yeah, yes, I was waiting for you.
Go ahead, Chelsea.
All right, I'm Chelsea with Rolling in the Dough AZ.
I'm Melissa with Missy P Sweets. May your cakes never be dry.
And your icing be shiny and crater free. Have a good one, guys.
Bye.